Okay. Hi. So apparently we're live. Sorry, there was a bit of a problem with the connection, and so I think we're on YouTube now and not other things. But welcome to the 5th chapter of the work of art. We're at Etopia, Center for Art and Technology in Zaragoza. You know where we are, but there's people watching from other places. So welcome everyone. The work of art is a series of conversations that take place within the framework of smARTplaces. smARTplaces is the European Audience Development Project. It's a group of art centers in Europe. So each chapter happens in a different art center. Previous chapters have had guests like the artist Itziar Barrio and Johanna Burton, director and curator of education and public engagement at the New Museum in New York, musician Fyodor Elesin, and actor Georg Rotering. They were talking about theater and music inside the museums. There have been also dancers, designers, and a wide range of guests. This is the 5th chapter, and for today we have like a main question, a main topic that we are going to talk about, which is how does an art center connect the production of art with its audiences? We know cultural institutions, museums and stuff, they are considering more and more how to increase the accessibility to the work that they're producing or that they're showing, to consider the audience more as an active part of the art making and not just as visitors. So the question would be how to connect and interact with the audience so that they have room to discover and take part in the creative processes. And to talk about these things, we have today Betisa Ojanguren. Hello, Betisa.
Hello.
Betisa
Good afternoon.
comes. Good afternoon. She comes from Navarra, and Esther, she's the community manager for smARTplaces. Yes. Did I
Yes.
say it right? Okay. She's gonna be helping with the online questions. I'm just going to give a little bit of context of your sort of CV kind of information, because I think it can be interesting for the people who don't know you. Betisa is co-director of the Contemporary Art Center Huarte in Navarra. She holds a degree in humanities and a master's degree in artistic education from the University of Barcelona. She has worked at the Department of Education at Museo Jorge Oteiza and at Artium in the Basque Country. In 2005, she co-founded the art and education collective Bitartean, and she's also associate professor of psychology and pedagogy at the Public University of Navarra since 2010.
Yeah.
Maybe before, so this is, maybe let's explain what we want to do with this, because we're trying to talk about public engagement. So we thought we could, I think this is how it works in all of the work of art sessions, but we want to think of this situation as an interview to Betisa, our guest today, that is done through all of us and everyone watching from online. So I will ask maybe the first questions, but the main idea is that everyone that wants to ask something does that. And I don't know if the hashtag way is going to work.
Yes,
Esther?
it's
Yes?
hashtag the work of art.
Do you want to explain? Yeah, just hashtag.
Yes, you can go to our Facebook page or our Twitter account. You can find us by searching for smARTplaces. And if you have any questions, please go there, use hashtag the work of art. It will pop up on my screen and I will transfer it here.
And for the ones that are here with us, if you have your phone or your computer, you can do that as well. If you don't, there will be a microphone so that you can make the questions. Okay. First of all, Huarte is this art center in Navarra. It's run by you and three other women. This fact alone makes it a very special institution. There's not many, at least that I know, that are run by a woman, but by four women. It's quite surprising. And I would like to know how this happened, or how was it an open call? Did you get together with these people? Did you already know each other? Did you write a project together? How did it happen in the beginning?
Well, it's a long story. I think it's important to know the context of the story. In Navarra, there has never been any public resources for artists. Well, there are spaces for exhibitions, but that's all. And that generates a specific situation in the context. No, I mean the artists had to go abroad to study, to produce, or to just improve in their careers. I mean, and there were other artists that stay, and they get to create different ways of getting together or creating art, but always a way of cultural politics, or public institutions. And in that context, in 2010, a lot of Navarra artists got together in a platform, and they decided to ask for lots of things to the government of Navarra. No, they decided that they had a lot of a lot of needs, and at that time there was no response of the government of Navarra. And the four of us, we were part of that platform, and we knew each other from a long time ago. But we never worked together, the four of us. We know each other in different contexts, but we never have worked together. But in this atmosphere of this platform, we thought about different things that should be done in our context. And in 2016, the new government of Navarra decided to create an open call for directors and to change their politics, cultural politics around art, contemporary art. And that's where we thought maybe this is the time. And we got together, we write the project, the four of us together, and we applied, and at the end we were selected. Mainly what we put in this project, or what we work on the project, was to rethink all those demands of that platform before, and think about what could happen if the way a small group of artists working together in that way, we can translate it to an institution, public institution, what could happen. No? So at the end, the four of us, we come from different backgrounds. I mean, I work mainly in the art education field. Nerea is a visual artist, Elisa is a dancer, and Oskia comes more from the cultural management field. Well, we work like in a small community, and we share our knowledge, and we decide all together all things. So we have to invest a lot of time, long time to discussing, in fact. Yeah. So it's a new way of approaching to the cultural institution, public institution. No? But for us, it's like something new for us too, because it's not the same to work this way out of the system, yes, if we can say so. And to translate all this into another context is difficult. But we think that it was a good idea, and it is a good idea to try those new ways.
And does that non-hierarchical way of making decisions translate into the rest of the people involved, the other people who work there, the artists, the audience.
Exactly.
How do they participate, if they do, in the decision making?
Yeah, well, the first thing we did when we arrived is we create 3 days workshop, invited all the artists of Navarra. So 50 artists came, and in this workshop mainly what we wanted to do is to make them see that we are on an ecosystem. We feel like part of the ecosystem, and they are part of this the same ecosystem, so they have to the power to decide things. And they just tell us what they needed, and we try to do everything they asked for. So, and that was the beginning, no? But after that we have different programs in which we relate all the time what is going on inside with the production or the different art processes with the local art community, of course, but also with other kinds of other communities. No, for example, we think that is very important to relate. For example, we do this the art processes to the training teacher programs or to the schools education programs we run.
You mean teachers for teachers in schools, not
in
art
schools.
teachers?
No art teachers. I mean, we have. Well, it's a bit complicated to explain in a few words, but we try to relate the art local community to schools, to educational community, but also to other kinds of groups of people. I mean, for example, we have open calls for investigation that have the subject things that matters in the small town where we are, in Huarte, for example. No, how people use the architecture of the town, or I don't know how they relate their lives with the river that comes around, no? And all those investigations at the end, people can use not only the results but the process of the investigation, no? And that's a way of making those links. No?
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered
the
question,
well,
but I
questions
mixed
are
up
just
everything.
to get you to talk, so
Yeah, well.
any answer is fine. Yeah, I was just thinking, there's in the text of your website, it says something that you understand the creativity or the art making process not just as making things or artworks or products, but also as generating thoughts and relationships and affections. And so maybe it's interesting to say, because you talked about the village Huarte, so is that where the center is? It's not in Pamplona, in the main city. So how is that? How does that work in terms of distances and what kind of people live there?
Well, Huarte is a small town, a very active town, and it's like 5 minutes on the bus, on the public bus from the city. So we are in a periphery area, and that's good in a way, and it's not that good in other ways, no? But this building was the purpose at the beginning was there was an exhibition center, and no one goes there to see anything because it was so far away to go. But as a production center, it's working because we don't need people to come. We go out. I mean, it's different, no? And the relation with the town is getting better and better, because the start was no good. I mean, people
with Huarte.
With Huarte, not our start, the start of the building, the history of the building. We've been running this project for 2 years now, 2 years and a half, and the building has 11 years. I mean, and the history of this relationship between this institution and the people of the Huarte was not good from the beginning. They didn't want that building there. So now it's better because the relationship is completely different than before. Now we work a lot with the public school, for example, and with local association, feminist groups of the town, and the relationship has nothing to do. Yeah.
So when you say that you go out, you mean this, that you infiltrate like other scenes or other collectives?
Yeah, at the end, as you were saying before, we think that knowledge, to construct knowledge, we need to construct spaces of relationship, spaces of where we can see each other in different levels and in different ways, and that we can learn from each other. No? And that's for us very important to make a cohesive and a strong art community, but not only in the art community, with the rest too. No. So yeah, our projects tend to think about knowledge like that, something that we share and that we have to construct together. Not something that you are going to have if you come to visit us. No, it's not like that. We go out. They come in also, but especially we go out. Yeah.
We can keep talking, but I don't know if there's
any questions.
Maybe someone who has a question. You have a question? Do you have a microphone?
Or just talk really loud.
My question is exactly that point, your starting point.
Yeah.
How did you build this relationship to your kind of visitors, users, audience? Because you didn't have a blank start point. How did you work?
It was not exactly completely blank, but okay. For example, the first open call we did for artists was Rethinking the Container. That was the title. And it was an European open call. And there was this group of architects from Berlin who came. And the purpose, it was rethinking the container. I mean, people from the town, what do you want this to be? It was just the same thing as we did, but in a different way. The same thing as we did with the art community, but in a different way. It was a project of a year, more or less, and this group of architects worked together with a very young, a very, very interesting group of architects local, and they make a really, really good team together, and they create these different actions with the people from Huarte, and the purpose was to construct, we didn't know what, but at the end we call them totems. They're like two structures, huge structures that are mobile, and that people from Huarte can use. They can go take that out of our building and use it in the square, the Plaza Mayor of the town. And these structures, you can see a film, you can cook. You can, there has different gadgets, so they can use it as they want. And what we wanted is to relate the artists who are working in the building to the community by using those things. And this architect entered this, that's the group of the architects from Berlin, and Orekari is the group from Pamplona, the architect of Pamplona. They designed this I don't know how to say, these totems, but the production was also collaborative with the people of Huarte. And the uses, they decided, the people from Huarte decided which uses. So the design was after that, a reflection. And that was 2 years ago. Now we are trying to think about other projects to involve the people from Huarte, but we have other forms of getting approach. No, that's one, like an open call, a traditional open call for artists, but this was a collaborative artist project with the people from Huarte. But also we have, as I said, a specific project with the public school of Huarte, a specific one for them. Or we have other open calls. For example, there's one that this year is the second year that we offer it to research about the uses that people from Huarte and or from other two small villages that are just closed, but they share the same river. So how they use the river, and we made different conclusions, and they use these conclusions for their daily life. I mean, I don't know if I answered the question, but there are different ways of approaching the people. Thank you. You're welcome. No more questions?
No, it was just a microphone sharing time. Yes? Okay. What was I going to say? Well, I think because maybe the connection with Zaragoza and well, Pamplona, even though you're not in the city, but you're
it's
sort
Pamplona
of close.
at the end,
We're also a kind of small town where artists have traditionally left the area to be able to do what they want to do, also to find inspiration in other people, and to, you know, to feel like they belong, maybe. And I think the mission of Etopia partly also is to it's not like people don't have to leave, right? It's good that people leave and then come back and then keep coming and going. And
movement.
And movement, exactly. But
good.
Not to feel forced to leave because there's nothing to do. And also because when you're growing up, or you also want to see things, right? See what other artists are doing, or maybe just as audience, as a spectator, or and in between that are transitioning into someone who wants to also make things. And for us, well, some people will not know, but I mainly work in the sound laboratory at Etopia, and we have this residency program called FUGA for sound artists and musicians, composers, and people that work with sound. And when we started, well, I had spent many years away, and when most of my artistic development happened away from here, I knew some musicians, but I didn't really know the scene here. And then I came back, and we started this program to help a community of artists and public audience and people interested in technology around sound kind of gather here and grow. But I didn't really know the scene, so I had to make this, or I'm still making it, you know, the process of learning what is what, and not just making up what I think a community needs, but actually, so I don't know how your experience of the four of you was, if it's a similar thing, if you also spend a long time away, or what was your connection to the, I guess Pamplona is very close to Vitoria and Bilbao and stuff, so it partly creates a bigger scene, but maybe you can talk a bit about that.
Yes, well, there will be four stories, four different stories.
Yes.
But Elisa, I think she's the one who has lived abroad more time, who has spent more time abroad. But the rest of us, in one way or another, we know what is going on outside, because we've been outside. But at the same time, we have never been like 10 years outside. I mean, like 2 years, 3 years. So we never have the feeling that we don't know what's going on in our place. I mean, we are very in touch with the reality, with the cultural reality. In fact, we were in different projects that promote arts and within the art community itself. So I think that if you want to work for, you need to feel yourself part of, because if not, I think it won't work. No, we said that we don't work with the context. We are part of an ecosystem. So if we don't know that ecosystem very well, we cannot work for, because, and I mean, and the way you work, it's also important, because you feed the land where you need to, after, to use to be alive. So it's like this. Navarra is small, Pamplona is smaller, and yes, we have a lot of relation with Bilbao, mainly because everyone goes to Bilbao to study Bellas Artes, fine arts there, because we don't have those kind of formation or training. I mean, there's nothing at universities of Navarra, and that's very important. For example, that's one of the things we try to do, is to create to give training, professional training, to artists that stays, or for artists that came back from abroad. I mean, who wants to stay in Navarra, that they had something to increase their curriculum, to increase their knowledge, to share with others, no? And that's also one of our lines of work. And that would be bajo cero. Well, here we told you before about this. It would be bajo cero, which is, well, it's in Spanish, but well, this is 1 year of workshops, different themes and subjects, but that mainly what we want to do is to relate theory and practice.
It's like an education program.
Exactly, it's an education program for professional artists.
Through workshops.
Through workshops.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's something that this year we did for the first time, and has lots of success. Normally people goes abroad, and now people are coming. This is like, what? Yeah, and we're going to continue with this, because we think it's very important for our community.
Sorry. When you say artists, you mean this is meant for visual artists or other?
That's a good question. When we think about, or when we talk about art, it's we can say people that works with their body, that works with visual, that works with sound, that works with we don't distinguish, or deal with distinguish. But for example, now we have a workshop of cinema. It's in collaboration with El Punto de Vista, which is a festival in Pamplona, one of the most important festivals, of film festivals, and cinema, for example. No? So that depends, but we think that it's interesting for everyone, from people that comes from a corporal language to go to a cinema workshop. It's also interesting, no? And vice versa. I mean, well, I was going to read, but it's not.
Can I maybe ask you a question? Because I know a lot of the people who are watching at home are working in the art industry, museums probably. If they wanted to do something similar, reaching out, what would your advice to them be? Listen.
Listen a lot. Listen a lot, and having a good team. A good paid team, and with good conditions, because that's also something that I think we should talk always when we talk about culture and workers in culture. It's very feminicized with lots of, and that's something that we have to be very conscious of. If you're conscious of that and you have a good team and you listen a lot, I think the rest will go. I mean, it's just, there's no a recipe, no recipes. no way.
Unfortunately.
No. I mean, every context and every situation is different. So, but listen, I think is good all the time.
Where do you get your
Not much.
inspiration from?
Wow, that's a tricky question. Well, I think that well, we have different experience, the four of us, in different fields, and maybe talking with each other, seeing this different experience. I mean, I had no idea about what were the problems of dancers, for example, no? Or what happened in a residency, in an artistic residency, because I am not an artist. But talking with my partners, Nerea or Elisa, you can find out that there's links between what they do and what I'm doing. And there suddenly appears a new idea. No? And I think that's something that only can happen if you are in a team and you dedicate time to talk. Not only with us, also with other people. I mean, yeah. From teachers also a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have one question? Yes? Can we have the microphone over here?
I'm gonna try to formulate this question, like, because often in art institutions you have a sort of hierarchy in which the learning teams or the educational teams are a little bit below in terms of like the presence in like the external presence, but it seems that what you are doing, there is a very good balance in between the artistic production and the educational processes and relations with the community. So it feels that all of those fields are there is no hierarchy between them. And I'm just curious how the artistic ecosystem is working there. I'm now curious about the artistic production that it's emanating out of these 2.5 years of the work that you have been doing. Do you see some changes in it? Because you're talking a lot about interdisciplinarity, and maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah. Well, maybe I have to explain that other part that I haven't explained. That would be the center as a product, as an artistic production center. There's a third floor. If you come and visit us, I will show you. There's a third floor where there are what we call estancias. Stays will be the translation. That means spaces for free for artists. They work there. They can apply for that for like they want 1 hour to stay there, or a whole year. That's the top. And in that time, they have to develop a project, a personal project. But they share that third floor. I think that there are like 10 space for 10 or 12 different artists, and there is like they're more like isolated, but they have to talk about with each other because they are in the same place. I mean, and this interaction is what we were looking for. I mean, yes, you have your own space for working, but close to another person that you don't really know, or you know, I don't know. And if something that connects you, but you will see. By talking, by leaving the place, those things happens. That's one thing. After, on the first floor, we have the laboratories. I mean, the places where you product. Well, it's not exactly like that because we think that talking is production also. But I mean, you understand, no? The print lab, the audio lab, the video lab. There, and they can use those places too. And also we have these residencies, open calls, no? And the open calls, there are different artists that came and have to stay for, I don't know, 2 weeks or 3 months, that's more or less the more than 3 months normally no, but there are exceptions also, and they have a specific project to do, but they inhabit also the place with the other ones, so they get also in touch. No, that's one thing, and yes, we've seen changes because at the beginning there were like not many people wanted to use the infrastructure, and now it's always on the top. I mean, we have no space. So, and people are changing. I mean, it's not that all the time are the same people are changing. There's a lot of movement, so it's good. And in terms of production, what that's difficult to say because sometimes we see the final, but sometimes we don't because it's a part of a more huge process. Then they go abroad to another place, so that's more difficult to say. But we have also a program, an exhibition program, which is called Habitación. Here you have we have one fanzine of every Habitación. Habitación is an experimental program of we invite one artist to inhabit a space, Habitación, which is open to the public Friday afternoon, and Saturday and Sunday morning. During that time, everyone can go and visit what is going on there, and the rest of the week, the artist who is working there has to develop a project in relation or in dialogue with other artists that he or she has invited to. So they have to be very aware that on the weekend this is going to be visited. So they have to think about how my process can be understood in this moment for the people that will come. No? And these habitaciones are very, very interesting. Each one are completely different, have nothing to do one with each other. And there we can see more productions because it's more tangible, I don't know how to say it, more physical, tangible. You can touch it more easily. The other ones are more difficult to touch. But they are there. I mean, it's more intangible, immaterial. And material too also, but not finished. I mean, normally not finished. Yes? Okay.
We have another question.
You can see if you want after.
Yeah, I'm going to try to also formulate this in a way, in the form of a question, but I'm curious about this origin story of the four of you coming together to work on this, create this thing together, and I think so often it can feel that there are these unwritten prerequisites for creating something like this or for taking the initiative of building something, and knowing that you guys all kind of came from different practices or professions and then kind of came together, and maybe this also has to do with the fact of being from the United States, where the concept of going to, say, a government or an organization and being granted these things is a little bit, it doesn't happen so easily maybe. But I'm curious if maybe you want to say more about the sort of advent of how it became possible for I guess the conversation and the ideas of spending time together and having maybe relationships turned into this, and because maybe I don't know so much about how that happens.
Well, in our experience, it was really, really natural, really, because Nerea and me, we worked together before. I mean, I worked with Nerea since 10 years, from, I don't know, 2003, I think. I met her, and from down there, we worked together in all projects, in different projects, nothing to do with this. But we knew each other. And I was responsible of part of the educational activities with the previous director. So I knew the institution, and I knew what was going on with the people from the town and all this, and I knew it because I've lived it. I mean, and with Oskia we knew each other from a long time, but we never have worked together. We work in the same institution, Museo Jorge Oteiza, but in different times. But we respect a lot each other, even though we never worked together. And with Elisa, it's a bit complicated because Oskia and Elisa, they didn't know each other. But Nerea and me, we knew Elisa, and we thought that we need Elisa because it's like another way of facing this project, no? And we thought, wow, if we are those four with different points of view and different backgrounds, for us it was like a dream. And we got together, we started to write, and even when we were writing the program, the project, we didn't know that it was if it was going to be possible for the because we didn't know that if they were going to let us be four. Normally it was just for one. And in the las bases, in the I don't know how to say the open call, exactly. The call, they said one person, for one director, not directress, director. But we went to talk to one person of the government related to this project, and we said, before the open call was public, even written, and we said, are you going to let a group to apply? And they say, that would be a good idea, but it's not very easy because of the law, la la la. But at the end, they wrote just one sentence in which it was possible. So we said, okay, and we went for it. But the main problem was that line, if it was or if it was not. But for us, the rest, the project, writing the project, was fun.
And this was kind
natural.
We are running out of time, so
yeah, sorry.
Very short.
Go ahead.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Do we have time for one more question or
It's
not?
a very short question and a very short answer.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, my English is not that good and it takes long time to answer.
So, should we wrap it up then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you.
No, thank you.
Betisa and Esther. It was
Thank you.
very inspiring to hear your story, and I hope we get to learn from it and that it keeps growing into the future.
Well, I hope you come and visit us.
Yes, we will.
Everyone is invited.
Maybe I will say that, well, the smARTplaces, the second smARTplaces conference starts tomorrow here at Etopia, and the next the Work of Art session will happen in June. I think we don't know the day exactly, but the title will be Craft, Enterprise and Gender in the Digital Age. And it will be a talk between Dr. Annette Nodin and Dr. Karen Patel in Birmingham City University. So stay tuned for that and have a good evening, everybody.